I'm sure this is a very unconventional field. So, how has your experience been so far? So, how was it like? It's a pretty unconventional field. So,
Oh, absolutely. So there's a double-edged sword to that. I mean, when I first started doing these sort of things, I wasn't really getting gigs because no one knew what a latte artist was or wanted to have one or really understood what it was. So in that sense, I was doing this for a long time and not doing it for money. But I didn't, I I think the place that I came from making it, I wasn't doing this coming from a place of like me thinking this could be a like the money part of it. I was just trying to like express myself. And yeah.
right. So, do you think when you're truly passionate about something, you can actually make a living out of it, and whatever difficulties you face, it ultimately seems all worth it. So, do you believe in that?
Oh, I do, definitely. I think that if you're doing something and you don't know how to do it and no one else knows how to do it because it's not being done, then you're onto something. And I truly believe that because when I was first making these designs, I was going online and looking up to see if there was anybody that knew more designs to do, that knew what I could do to expand. And there was nobody out there. So I kind of took it upon myself. I'm like, I can be the one that's coming up with new designs. I can, why not? So that I think that's important. And I guess to go back to your previous question, um, it is difficult when you're doing something new because there's not a market for it yet. But the good
Right.
thing about that is that, I mean, when I was doing this as well in the beginning, social media was still in its infancy. So,
Mhm.
people weren't hiring because what my main draw to my clients is them getting something for their guests to share on social media. I mean, I kind of compare myself to like when I do events, there's so many different types of people there. There's like photo booths and things like that. And I mean, just look at photo booths before social media. Photo booths probably weren't as big as they are now because they
Yeah.
didn't really have a platform to share those photos on. What are they going to do? Put it in a scrapbook before? So, I kind of realized that I was in the beginning on the cusp of that sort of happening too. So that was definitely a big plus. So part of that was right time, right place. But I don't,
Right.
I still think it's very possible now. The tools are out there for sure, especially with social media if you share what you do and you share your process.
Right.
Mhm.
So, when you say art and coffee, so were you? Can you specifically do it only in coffee, or you like to experiment with other aspects as well? So something
Um,
different.
yeah, I mean, I've dabbled here and there with like digital art. So like I'll just, do stuff on my iPad here when I'm not doing stuff with coffee. Sometimes I'll experiment with that just which is something relatively new to me because I pretty much only did stuff with coffee because a lot of well, I would do stuff. I guess I would try to make other art before, like canvas and painting, but I was sort of overwhelmed by the amount of choices there. Where you go to an art store and there's like a billion different paint types, and like, how do I know what's right? With coffee, I knew that I could try to make the most complex thing possible with as little as possible to work with. So I think that was sort of the challenge. But that was before I
Right.
used like colors and things like that too. So, but I use a lot of color now. So knowing, like, I guess messing with the like pushing the boundaries of something that doesn't, I guess that has boundaries, if that makes sense.
Right. So I think you can do these designs only in milk, right? Because or can you do it in black coffee or something? I don't think that's possible, right?
Not necessarily possible, but I mean, if somebody came to me and emailed me and was like, I'm throwing an event and I need you to do this, I could probably figure something out. I always try to find a way to make it work. I've had events where I was told they had an espresso machine and they didn't, and I had to somehow just make it work. And to me, as long as like the only person that knows something is wrong, if I'm doing an event and something is wrong, the only person that really knows is me, because my client
Yeah,
doesn't know that the machine is not the right one or this or that. If I tell them that, I'm going to stress them out. So I don't say anything like that. I just work with what I have and do the best that I can. So that's
yeah,
definitely something important too, especially if you're doing like work with somebody. If you're an artist, you can't be too picky because it's art.
mm,
To me, it's like rock and roll. Just just make it work.
right. I really liked your attitude of make it work. I think, that word, like you really don't have any second thoughts. So it's like, I really like that positive attitude you have. That
Well, thank you.
whatever you like, just make it work and do everything possible to make it possible. I think a lot of people should imbibe this attitude, definitely.
Oh, I believe so too. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just sort of, I think they limit themselves, especially creatives, because when
Yeah,
you're like, I'd say if you're a creative person, you probably have a great imagination. And
definitely.
the downside of that is you can use that imagination against yourself and use it to stop yourself from doing things. So
Right.
that is that's another thing that I've kind of realized that there's there's a positives and negatives of having an imagination.